Hi friends, I've been telling you about sculpture and how some sculpture is built by adding on and other sculpture is molded. And there's other kinds too, but those are the ones we're talking about today. And I want to show you some sculptures that either have been molded or carved and out of different materials. So this is, whoo-hoo, what do you think? A little owl, and it's hard stone that's been chipped away to form these eye sockets and a little beak, and some little stones were added to give it some eyes. Can you see that? Woo-hoo! Here's another owl. Do they look the same? They're both owls. But this one is made out of another material that has been scraped and cut at. It's also made of stone, and a little color was added in, or a bead was added in to give it an eye. But it has more detail. Look at how the artist used something to scrape at it to give it those lines, which sort of look like feathers to me. Okay, that's two birds. How about this one? What kind of bird is he? That's a penguin. And again, the artist used something to give it texture by scraping at it. It's also stone, and the little beak was painted. Looks like the eyes were painted too. This one, a little kitty. And this was poured, this one's a little bit different. It was poured into a mold, and then more detail was added to it. Look at its little face. Someone probably used a tool to scrape a little smile onto that cat's face and add detail. Another bird. This one's made of soapstone, which is a different kind of material. And again, this is a black stone. You can see that. And it's been scraped. Look at how the white shows through to make it look like feathers. This is a loon. They are sort of like ducks. They like to swim. Bah! You see this little sheep? This one's also made of stone. Oh, look at this bird. How interesting is this? It's different colors. Even has sort of a band around its neck. Isn't that one interesting? Oh, and sometimes they look very comical. That means kind of funny, but they're still really beautiful too. What would you call this? Kind of reminded me of the frog image on some of the totem poles that we saw last week. So, friends, in your activity kit, you've got a big piece of clay. And I want you to think about what kind of animal you would like to mold out of that clay. So these are hard because they've dried or have been fired in a hot oven. But this clay just air dries. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But I want you to get your clay out. And don't be worried about getting your hands a little bit dirty, because it washes off. But give it a good squeeze. Oh, makes your hands strong, and it warms up the clay. It was kind of cool before, but as I warm it up, it gets softer and softer and makes it easier for me to play with. So think about what kind of animal. Have some tools available. I have a knife, a little butter knife spreader. I have a fork. That might give it some interesting texture. Huh. I also have this tongue depressor, which kind of can smooth out the clay. I have some toothpicks, and I even have some beads and gems that maybe I'll use as eyes, or maybe I could make a butterfly and add them to the wings, which have spots sometimes that are called eyes, even though they can't see. But I really like the idea of making a bird, because I really like birds, and I had so many examples of birds. So I'm squishing. I can roll it a little too between my hands to get it a little bit smoother. I'm pushing. I'm using both hands to move the clay to form my bird's body shape. Does this look like a snake to you? You could roll it into a snake. It's not a snake. You could make a turtle or a rabbit. I don't know what you'll make, but this is going to be my bird. Is it kind of looking like a bird to you yet? Maybe a cardinal with that tuft on his head. Or maybe the chickadee. So I have my bird's beak. I have his head formed and his body and his tail feathers. I might add some more clay to give it some wings, because that's what makes it a bird. And I can just add those right on by pressing it like that. And now my bird has a wing on that side. I have to give it a wing on the other side. Now, I need to add some texture to those wings. I saw that one artist use something like a fork to give it texture. And maybe I could even use a toothpick to give it some eyes. Or I could use beads. Push them in. See the little blue eye now? So when you're finished with your animal, you're happy with the texture, you're happy with the shape. The shape comes first and then the texture. Then you can just put it on a piece of cardboard and just let it sit. It needs time to harden, but this is a really important step too. Once it's hardened, like my little bunny here, you need to mix up just some plain white glue with a little bit of water. And I already did that. I mixed up plain white glue and water, and I'm gonna paint my whole bunny so that his ears don't break off and the clay of his body does not crumble. And when you first paint it on, it is white. Can you see that? It's white, but it dries clear, and it will give your bunny a nice, or your animal sculpture, a nice coating, and it will protect your animal from it will keep it from crumbling too much. So I can't wait to see what kind of animal you sculpt out of a piece of clay. Have fun with that.